Well, hey there, I'm Dr. Tom Ulrich, and I like to talk about leadership and engineering. Hey, in this video, I'd like to talk a little bit more about some tips for getting a promotion into leadership. And I want to do it from this book I'm holding in my hand right here, Kouzes and Posner's The Leadership Challenge. There is a more recent edition of this book, so I'll put a picture of it right there. And at any rate, it's a great book. And, one thing about this book that really makes it stand out from the others, because I think you've all heard me say, two-thirds of the books that are available on leadership are just complete BS. They're just people full of themselves, and their basic book is this: I'm amazing. Here's what I did, and if you do what I did, you'll be amazing too, like me. At any rate, so the problem is they fail to address generalizability, and they fail to identify what really was the salient variable, or what really was make a difference. They did one thing, and they think that caused it is really something else. At any rate, one thing that's really amazing about this book is typically for a journal article, if you have a leadership study and you have, say, 300 or 400 participants, that's like, wow, that's a good sample. Every now and then you'll see some massive effort, whether it be, like 2,500 participants, and that's just jaw dropping. So these guys in their survey, they have responses from 700,000 participants. So there's no study in the history of the world on leadership that has anywhere near as much data behind it. And so these guys are both researchers at the University of Santa Clara, and this is reliable stuff. At any rate, so and it's a very readable book, and so the first part of the tip is read that book. Hey, I've got a link to it down below. By the way, on that subject, long as we're clicking, if you don't mind subscribing, if you don't mind liking, maybe leave a comment, I'll respond back. At any rate, one thing they say real early on about a leader is it's very important for a leader to come up with their philosophy of leadership. So if you're wishing you were a leader and you're not, or wishing you're an engineering manager or something and you're not, I think these guys would say, well, the first thing you want to do is really get clear on what your leadership philosophy is. Now, I didn't do that till I'd been leading for probably like 15 years or something, but I still found it helpful. And so, your leadership philosophy may be a simple one sentence. Mine, actually, I had 7 points. But, one way or another, just getting clear in your head what is your philosophy leading people is worthwhile. And what Kouzes and Posner's data suggests is it's more than worthwhile. It's very important. Hey, so as an example, what I did on my philosophy is the first thing I do is I try to see potential. So I try to look at people not as they are, but as they could be. The second thing is, I'm kind of naturally a teacher, and so I incorporate teaching into my leadership style. So, as a leader, I'm always trying to help people learn new things. The third thing is I always try to establish connections. So I'm always looking to find things in common to discuss. So when I was running the software team at Tandem, one thing I did for the entire decade that I led that team is I always said, each week I'm going to have a conversation with each person on the team. And so what I did is I would, just find something I have in common. So that's one of the reasons it's great to follow NFL, American football, is that most guys can talk about it. So if you can talk football, you have something in common with a lot of people. Anyway, but I would find something. And even toward the end, the group had, 50 people, and I stuck to it. Every single week, I had a conversation with each person. The fourth thing is I really made a deliberate attempt to encourage people, and just kind of, it's very intuitive to me that, everybody needs encouragement. And by the way, Kouzes and Posner's research really establishes that overwhelming that, the way they say it is an effective leaders learn how to encourage the heart. The fifth thing is try to be patient, and try to, give people a little more time, give them a second chance. Now, people who know me know that that is not always what I did. It is certainly what I tried to do. And, the sixth thing is to take responsibility. So, the buck stops here. And if this thing's late, yep, I will take responsibility. And what I really tried not to do was, point fingers and, simply say, okay, this is my problem. I own the objective and let's get this done. And then the seventh thing is just simply look for ways to help. And rather than, letting this devolve into, who did what and whose fault is what, is just to say, okay, what can I do right now that'll help our situation get better? At any rate, hopefully that helps. The bottom line is, if you adopt my leadership philosophy exactly, you've completely missed the point. What you want to do, Kouzes and Posner talks about finding your voice as a leader, and what they're saying is articulate, really come to terms with what is it that's important. So if you're just copying what I said, you missed the boat. You're not doing that. I shared these simply as an example to give you an idea of what this looks like. Yours may be 1 or 2 points. Mine was 7. Yeah, I always tend to be a little bit wordy. But at any rate, that's the idea, is find your voice and be clear in your mind of what is your philosophy, your leadership philosophy. And I would put it on a 3x5 card and, have it above your monitor or something like that. Hey, at any rate, hopefully that helps. I'm Dr. Tom Ulrich, the engineering leadership guy, and I've got a whole bunch of videos. I've got a link down below to my website, and on YouTube, you can just search on Dr. Tom Ulrich. At any rate, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later.